Okay, welcome everybody. It is December 14th, 2022, and we'd like to welcome you all to our Wednesday night with Dr. Wallach. And we have question and answers right after he gives a little presentation here. And we're so honored and thankful and grateful, especially this time of year, this season. And this is the gift that we can give other people is the knowledge and the truth about nutrition. And many people have been, led to believe many things. And we all want to have good health, and we all want to have a wonderful life. And that's what we can offer to people here if they're willing to follow a few guidelines. And that's all we are. We just guide people. And I have Holy Spirit guidance myself, and I'm grateful that I listened to David when he told me about Dr. Wallach, and I sat still and I listened. And we just invite you all tonight to sit and listen. If you have any questions after he's finished, then we'd love to have you ask the questions. You can raise your hand over here on the side. And Dr. Wallach, we thank you so much, and the call is yours.
Well, thank you so much, Dave and Pam. I just really appreciate you and your team. You're a great benefit to humanity. You're a great benefit to Michigan and the United States. We're very, very proud of you. And of course, this is a holiday season, as you're pointing out, and there's no greater gift than health and a longer life, a good future. And this is the information and the products that you can pass on to them. Okay, whether they're going to be a customer or an associate, aka distributor. Okay, and if they're remotely interested, say, if you're really, really seriously interested, we can get you in as a associate, a distributor, and you can earn money. You get the tax break based on the amount of space you use in your home. Okay. So you get a nice tax return at the end of the year because you're using your home. You don't have to rent a space in a mall or anything like that. You're already renting space or buying space in your home. And so that's a good deal. And we have programs for 600 different health problems. We have 5,000 products. And so we cover the waterfront very, very broadly and expertisely. And so we do have a lot of tools, which leverages your time. So you don't have to spend 2 hours every day with each person. If you have more than 2 people, you're in trouble. If you have a group of 50 people, you can't spend 2 hours a day with each one. Okay, it's just physically impossible. And so we have a system by which you train an army. And I knew I had to have an army back in the 1970s, because I couldn't see more than, as a naturopathic doctor, I couldn't see more than maybe 25 people a day. And that was very limiting. And so I came up with the Dead Doctors Don't Lie. Dead Doctors Don't Lie CD in the book. The CDs are in 9 languages, translated into 9 languages. We sold over 600 million copies of that CD worldwide. And it really got the message out there. Okay, we have huge, huge, huge international impact in 80 countries. We have 60 warehouses. And so we're very, very proud of our system. We're growing like crazy right now because with all the businesses closing down and people getting laid off and so forth, prices going up, people need more money. Also, they need more health. The U.S. Senate came out in 1936 and said, in U.S. Senate document 264, this is the United States Senate, there's no longer sufficient minerals in our fields where we grow our food to support healthy and long human life. Okay, it was 1936. The U.S. Senate said that in U.S. Senate document 264. And so we have right now 21 books and 100 CDs, and I think it's 40 or 50 DVDs, something like that, as tools. And many of them are translated into other languages and so forth, particularly Spanish. And I always joke, we always translate our stuff into Canadian because we do a lot. It's Canadian, our sister nation. Okay. And so it's one of those things where if you want to know about the transition going from wood as fuel and coal as fuel, where we had a byproduct called ashes, which were 95% minerals and 2 or 3% carbon. We went to electricity. Suddenly now, all those minerals we're getting from the wood ashes and coal ashes for thousands and thousands and thousands of years went away. Now, nutritional minerals do not occur in a uniform blanket around the crust of the earth. They occur in veins like gold and silver. So even if you're eating well, quote unquote, whatever that means, there's no guarantee you're going to get all the nutrients you need. Okay. Ask Bruce Lee how that worked for him. Just eating food, and the only supplement he took was one mineral, magnesium, and he got his B vitamins from brewer's yeast, that kind of stuff. He really didn't take any supplements. Okay. And that's why he died at 32. He died at 32 years of age in 1973. It was 49 years ago. And they didn't say anything about what he died from until, about, I don't know, 2 weeks ago. They said, oh, we finally figured out what Bruce Lee died from in 1973. He died of drinking too much water. Well, I give that, there's actually a name for that kind of science. It's called crapola, pardon my French, crapola. And that's absolutely nonsense. So I spent a couple of weekends working on all the stuff that was published on Bruce Lee and so forth, and figured out he was eating a porridge for breakfast every morning made from rolled oats, uncooked. Okay, it's called muesli, heavy in gluten. And he had a smoothie at the end of his breakfast, a dairy smoothie, and he put in there wheat germ, which is heavy in gluten. And then for lunch, he had spaghetti, gluten alert. He had spaghetti again for dinner time, gluten alert. And the only supplement he took mineral-wise was magnesium. And so that's why he died at 32. The last 3 months of his life, he just went to nothing but fruit and vegetables because he knew he had really screwed up. He was a mess. And so he didn't make it. He made the change too late. Okay, now, our goal is to help add 25 to 50 healthy years to everybody's life. And we can do that by getting away from the bad stuff, no fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no gluten, no wheat, bran, oats, no sugar, no carbonated drinks, and then taking the basic 90 essential nutrients. I like our Healthy Brain and Heart Pack, which has 215 nutrients. The core is still the 90 essential nutrients, but we have the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack, which is we call it the big hammer, okay? And life expectancy in professional athletes is 53 to 59 years of age in the United States. The longest lived person in the industrialized world was a French lady by the name of Jean Calment. She died in 1997 at the age of 122 years and 164 days. Okay, so my goal is to get all of our people to live to be at least 125. And so I want to surpass Jean Calment. Everybody has the potential to do that, but you got to do everything right. Okay, life expectancy for professional athletes is 53 to 59 with an average universal average of 56.7. We have 2,000 young athletes in America under the age of 25 die from hypertrophic cardiomyopathy heart disease each year. And doctors, oh, it's a genetic thing. No, it's a simple nutritional deficiency thing. And there's a long story that goes along with that, which we'll have to wait because we don't have time to go into the long story. And then billionaires, their average lifespan is 66. Now they can afford the best of everything, best of the food, best of supplements, best of doctors. And because they don't supplement, they just eat well and follow their doctor's instructions, use all the pharmaceuticals, their average life expectancy is 66. ER doctors, emergency room doctors is 58.7. Okay. And so I think you're seeing my message here. Now, we have a new CD. You've heard that old adage, there's a new sheriff in town. Well, we've put a label on 3 CDs that are appropriate here. There's a new bull in town because we want to, give Red Bull a little bit of competition here. Now, there's 3 CDs. One is called Dead Athletes Don't Lie. The second one is Exercise Without Supplementation and Suicide. The third one is What Kills Billionaires. And it goes into why these people don't live a long time. Okay, exercise is supposed to be good. Well, again, ask Bruce Lee how that worked for him. He died at 32, and he was held up as the exercise expert. Okay, and it was just tragic. okay, that he died at 32 because he ate poor. Every meal he had and every snack he had gluten in it. Okay. And so that was his problem. It wasn't drinking too much water, it was eating too much gluten. Okay. And then let's see here. I also want to remind you we have a CD which we've refound. It was sort of lost in the pile someplace. It's called Dial MD for Murder. It's named after that movie Dial M for Murder. And what it is, it's a summary. At the end of each year, every state requires the hospitals and clinics to put forth how many people died because of infections created in the hospital or the clinic, how many patients died from infections, how many people died from incorrect prescription, incorrect dosage, all kinds of stuff. And so this is something that we have to deal with. Okay, we want everybody to live to be 125. That's our goal. It's possible. It is possible because there are people who are not part of the all the great nations of the world. Okay, like Hunza, they live in these valleys. Okay, and they're not part of the great nations. Okay, they're a little country. They live in these valleys up in the Himalayan mountains, and they're surrounded by volcanoes. And the volcanoes are constantly spurting up ash, and the ash goes into their lakes and ponds and rivers and creeks and in their fields, and they're getting all these minerals. And so when we started Youngevity, we didn't just go grind up some limestone and clay like everybody else does to, put minerals in their formulas. So we use these plant-derived colloidal minerals that the Hunzas use. We get them from like 5 or 6 different countries around the world, from all kinds of places, some in the ocean, so forth. And so it's one of those things where we have 75 minerals. We have 75 minerals in our Rebound sports drink. Red Bull has 1, magnesium. We have 12 vitamins, amino acids in our Rebound, and Red Bull has 4. Okay. And so it's one of those things where we're more highly nutritious, certainly, than Red Bull is. Nobody can argue with that. And one of their founding fathers in Red Bull, he was from Austria, and he was one of the founders of the company. And he died a couple of months ago. They haven't really given us any clear-cut idea what he died from, but he was bragging until the day he died that he drank 10 cans of Red Bull every day, for like 25 years. And then he died at 78 from some mysterious thing. Okay. So it's one of those pieces where you take the 90 essential nutrients, we have what we call secret sauces. If you have diabetes, you throw in the sweeties. If you have high blood pressure, you throw in the Ultimate Daily Classic tablets. If you have things going on with your skin, your bones, your joints, your ligaments, tendons, connective tissue, cartilage, you throw in the collagen peptides, and you throw in Beyond OsteoFX, and you throw in your vitamin D3. High blood pressure and kidney failure, and you're on dialysis, you want to take our Ultimate Daily Classic tablets. We get you off of dialysis and get you off your medication for high blood pressure, not cold turkey, but as your blood pressure comes down, you'll be able to slowly reduce your medication based on the numbers. The same way with your diabetes. Diabetes is not genetic; it's not autoimmune. Diabetes is very simple nutritional deficiency, and we can get rid of it. The only kind of diabetes we can't get rid of is type 1, where babies are born with a birth defect. It's not genetic. Mama was missing stuff. Okay, when the cells in the islets of Langerhans were forming to make insulin, were forming, but she didn't have enough nutrition, and so instead of having 600 cells per islet of Langerhans, the baby may have only had 3 cells instead of 600, and that's why they're not making enough insulin. So that's type 1 diabetes. You only get type 1 diabetes when you're born that way. Okay, people who say, "Oh yeah, I'm 60 years old and I was just diagnosed with type 1 diabetes." Oh no, don't believe that one. The doctor is trying to milk the dairy cow. Okay, if it's not true. That's definitely a type 2 diabetes when you have no problems with diabetes, and then suddenly when you're 65 years old, you get diagnosed with diabetes. It's not type 1, it's type 2. Okay, and they put them on metformin, okay, which is a oral diabetes medication. If they're eating gluten and fried foods, okay, if they're eating gluten like Bruce Lee did, their intestines are dead and they cannot absorb the metformin. They'd say, well, the metformin is not working for you because you have type 1 diabetes. No, that's because they're eating gluten and can't absorb it. Okay, so with that said, I want to remind everybody our rebound, our sports drink, and don't forget the three CDs. Okay, dead athletes don't lie. Exercise without supplementation is suicide, and what kills billionaires. Okay, it's called here we go. Yeah, I'll show it to you. Again, there's a new bull in town. There's a new bull in town, and that's because we are going to compete with Red Bull because we have the nutrition, we have a very successful sports drink, energy drink, safe and very nutritious. And we just want to say there's plenty of room for us. Okay, so with that said, I want to throw it open to Dave and Pam so we can answer some questions.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Wallach. We appreciate all that beautiful information. It's valuable, and we need to be bold. We really do need to be bold. And people told me that for years and years. You got to be bold. And I'm like, I can't be any bolder than I am. You know, I was very quiet for most of my life. And when I started to get the confidence to talk about what I believed in, and that is what my mom always talked about, was, you know, farming, nutrition, and prevention. And that's what we pretty much try and, you know, explain. I do see a hand up, but I wanted to ask you in regards to a guest I was speaking with earlier, and he had a cage put in on his spine from his lower back down, and he says he cannot even stand to push a lawnmower anymore. It was 6 years ago he put this in. He does have rheumatoid arthritis, but the pain is excruciating. Why would that be?
Okay, well, does he have any other issues? Do you know how many times he wakes up at night to urinate? Once, 3 times, 5 times, 10 times?
He didn't tell me that, but he did have diabetes. He was on medication for years and years, and then we introduced him to the program, and so he has no longer taken any diabetic medication. He does have blood pressure issues, though.
Okay, well, then he needs the Ultimate Daily Classic tablets, Ultimate Daily Classics, okay? And to take 3 twice a day, and he'll get rid of the high blood pressure just like he got rid of his diabetes. Okay, same thing. You got to give the right thing, but they have to stay on this. You can't get rid of the problem and then go back to your old ways because in 6 months' time it'll come back. Okay, you got to stay on it forever. Mm-hmm. Oxygen is forever, water's forever. The right nutrition program is forever, right?
Yes.
Okay. So if he has, you say he's got kind of a metallic or a fiberglass thing implanted in his back?
Yes, a cage on his back, the lower back.
Okay, is it on the outside or did they surgically put it inside?
Inside.
Okay, yeah. And he weighs how much?
About 280. No, I mean 180.
180, okay. So he needs to get rid of the bad foods. You're good about the good food, bad food list, right? Mm-hmm. Then he needs to get on the 2 healthy brain and heart packs a month, the photos, everything twice a day. He needs to get on and stay on his sweeties and his Ultimate Daily Classic tablets for his diabetes and high blood pressure. But he needs to add the 2 healthy brain and heart packs a month, full dose everything twice a day. He also needs 2 bottles a month of our MSM, so he can take 3 of those at breakfast, 3 at dinner, and 3 at lunchtime, and it'll support and promote maintenance repair of cartilage, ligaments, tendons, connective tissue, disc between the vertebrae. That cage is trying to hold things together. Okay, we're going to rebuild that. Okay. And the odds are when you have osteoporosis and arthritis in your back that's severe, the odds are you also have it in your skull. And so he may have other issues. There's 37 different diseases you get from having osteoporosis of the skull. And I want to show you something here. This is very dramatic. Okay, it's on page 6 Okay, it's all in your head book. Okay, now the top skull is a normal skull. It's a quarter of an inch thick. The bottom skull is also a human skull, but it's over an inch and a half thick. And all the 12 tunnels for the 12 pairs of cranial nerves and the spinal cord coming out of the back of the skull are being squeezed because all those tunnels are filling up with the scar tissue. Okay, now, why are doctors not getting rid of these problems? Well, that's because the cost of treating symptoms for arthritis in America, just treating symptoms, not preventing or curing, is $626.8 billion a year with a B. For treating osteoporosis in America for 1 year, okay, just to treat the symptoms, not to prevent or cure it, is 2.3 trillion. So the orthopedic surgeons are making $3 trillion a year just to treat the symptoms of arthritis and osteoporosis in America. Why would doctors want to fix it? Okay, so they've got a milking herd, and they're milking these patients with arthritis and osteoporosis. $3 trillion a year. Okay, that's very scary stuff. And so that's why we have the programs we have. Notice you'd have arthritis for longer than a couple of weeks. I always say, give me 90 days. Do exactly as I say for 90 days. And then you can say you don't believe me if you're not seeing benefit. Okay, but if you're seeing benefit, I mean, I get people, who have every disease you can think of, and the doctors say, well, it's a genetic thing, there's nothing you can do about it, we can just treat the symptoms. They get on our program, it goes away in 2 weeks after 25 years of having problems. Now, you think the patient is excited? Yeah, they're very happy. And they tell other people, and they bring them in, and they say, I better become an associate here and start putting these people in my organization, and so forth. So you see that progression that happens, because when people see that kind of benefit, when they see that kind of benefit, they cannot help but say, okay, there's something to this. Now, in addition to the book and the CD, it's all in your head, 37 different diseases. I showed you those two skulls on page 6, okay, of the book. It's all in your head, okay. We sell a lot of these, okay. Why didn't doctors figure that out? Some dumb veterinarian from Missouri figured it out. Okay, it was me. All right. And then we have another set that was paid for by two very wealthy media and movie people. They don't want their names thrown around, but it's a book and a CD and a DVD. It's called The Truth About Nutrition. Okay, and so this set, it's on your head. They're naturals, go together. You will learn how to save thousands and thousands of dollars a month, add many healthy years to your life by just following the information in these books, okay? And CDs and DVDs. And then, of course, one last thing, my thesis that I did, it was 5,000 pages, 20,000 autopsies, 10 years, $25 million grant from NIH. And my thesis sells new in the box, unopened, for $25,000 each. There's not many Americans going to spend $25,000, okay, for how to figure out how to eat breakfast and that kind of stuff. Okay, so we made a summary of it. It's $25, not 25,000 like the original. This is $25, and the title is Epigenetics: The Death of Genetic Disease Transmission. And of course, we created that whole new science of epigenetics. We're very, very proud of that. And $25, if you buy 10 of them, you get a nice discount on top of that. Okay. And so you can learn how to deal with these diseases. And don't forget that the CD that was lost and found, Val MD for murder. Okay. Val MD for murder. It's one of those things where people have to get the information. And so that CD is available now.
Thank you, Dr. Wallach. I appreciate that because, that is quite a bit of money, trillions of dollars going into those doctors and the pharmacists and, all those, it is making jobs, but, we could have some people right here on our call making, some money too and putting it back into our system. So we could, help spread the word, get some books out to them and give them the knowledge. A lot of people don't even want to read the insert on those medical, pills that they're getting. And if they could just use one of these books a month to help educate them, it would be so much further along. So Sherry's got her hand up. I'd like to pass it over to her. Thank you, Dr. Wallach.
You bet.
Oh,
Okay,
hello. Hi, good evening, Dr. Wallach.
how can we help?
Yes, can you hear me okay?
How can we help you?
Yes, there's a talk about global shortage of fertilizers. Regarding the blooming minerals, I know it's a soil revitalizer, but can it be used as a fertilizer?
Well, it is.
It is a fertilizer.
It is a fertilizer.
Okay.
And it has 75, 78 minerals in it, depending on which place we get it from. So a minimum of 75 minerals. Oftentimes it'll have 78 minerals in it. Remember, commercial fertilizer only has NPK in it, only 3 nutrients. And the nutrients you're looking for do not occur in a uniform blanket around the crust of the earth. They occur in veins like gold and silver. So that's why U.S. Senate Document 264 came out in 1936, says there's no longer sufficient amounts of minerals, nutritional minerals in our soils to support a long and healthy human life. Now, that's because we switched from wood and coal as fuel to electricity, all right? And that transition is documented in this book, Hell's Kitchen, named after the district in New York City that has every horrible thing on earth happen in that part of the district in the city. So they call it Hell's Kitchen. So we took the name Hell's Kitchen and tell the story of the transition from 3,000, 4,000 years of using wood and coal as fuel and using the ashes for fertilizer and a source of nutritional minerals to now, unless you're taking ours, you're not going to be able to get the complete set of all the nutrients. You can get vitamins and minerals at the drugstore and that sort of stuff. But what happens is when you read the label, they might only have 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 8 minerals. You need 60. We're the only ones with all 60. So this is not a difficult choice. So you do have to be proactive. And of course, I've been taking the 90 essential nutrients before we had the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack, which has 215. But when we have the 90 essential nutrients, I've been doing this since I was 9 years old. I'm 83 going on 84. And most people think when they look at me that I'm in my 50s and my energy level and so forth. It's not like an 83-year-old guy going on 84. Okay. And it comes down to when you put dirt from Texas in your car and say, well, I'm not going to spend all that money on oil, and prices of oils are going up. I just put dirt from Texas. There's a guy with a wheelbarrow. He's selling a quart of dirt from Texas for 10 cents a quart. So I can buy 6 quarts of that dirt from Texas for 60 cents, put it in my car. There's bound to be some oil in it because that's dirt from Texas. Now, no crazy person would do that to their car. And so people abuse themselves by trying to take shortcuts for themselves, but they won't take shortcuts for the car. I find that amusing.
Thank you, Dr. Wallach. Amy has her hand up.
Dr. Wallach, the good herbs, the one that's for kidney and urinary bladder, can that be used by somebody that has kidney stones, calcium stones?
Yeah. And of course, if you have kidney stones, that means you are calcium deficient. What's happening is your parathyroid glands and your thyroid gland are pulling out calcium out of your bones to try and get your calcium levels up, but they're overreacting and pulling too much calcium out, so your blood calcium goes up. The first thing the doctor says, oh my God, you're taking in too much calcium. Stop taking calcium supplements. And then you're going to die, okay, like Bruce Lee. So
talk more about that, doctor. Talk more about that, because it's I really need to learn about this.
Well, that's why we have the books and the CDs. Okay, you have to get a hold of this book and the CD and the DVD, The Truth About Nutrition. Okay, you also want to get a hold of the book Immortality. It tells you what the long-lived people consciously, proactively put their arms around and do, or they consciously, proactively avoid. And they're the ones who are living to be 120. Their life expectancy is 120, like the Huns.
Doctor, I'm eating a lot of cheeses and good quality and heavy cream. And so maybe I'm getting too much calcium that I
No.
can't, can't
No,
absorb it
no,
properly.
no,
Because I have
no,
osteopenia?
no. I
No,
have to be quiet and listen. You're saying something that's incorrect. You
right.
cannot get everything you need by eating cow's milk or goat's milk. Okay, now here's why. Cow's milk and goat's milk are formulated for their babies. A baby calf is 25 pounds. Okay, and so you have to at least be 25 pounds. So trying to give cow's milk to a baby, the baby's not going to get enough nutrition out of that cow's milk because it's designed for a 25-pound baby. Okay, and the same way with you. You don't know what that dairy farmer's been giving that cow, because the cow can't make all those minerals. The cow gets them from the food and comes out in the milk, and so you don't know. Okay, did they just take the calves away right away and they didn't care and they butchered the calves and made, you know, what cows, calf, okay, and they were selling the meat, and so the cow didn't have to worry about the calf. They didn't have to worry about getting the minerals into the calf, okay, and so it's one of those things where you have to pay attention to those limitations. And so even if you just ask Bruce Lee, I mean, he had all the money in the world. He was looked at as the top person when it came to fitness. He was a fitness guru, and yet he died at 32 because he did everything wrong. But the whole world, every country in the world looked at him as the fitness guru. But he died because he didn't supplement. He just ate food that was supposed to, you know, the funny example is he used brewer's yeast to get all his B vitamins. Right.
So Dr. Wallach, would you say for someone with kidney issues, what path would they want?
Okay, well, they need to be off all the bad foods. No fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no gluten, no wheat, bran, oats, no sugar, no carbonated drinks. All that kind of stuff's got to go. They need to have one healthy brain and heart pack per 100 pounds of body weight. They need one bottle of the, let's see here, MSM per 100 pounds of body weight. You need the collagen peptides, 3 of those twice a day. Okay. And let's see here. Oh, the collagen peptides, it either comes in capsules. I like the powder. You can put a scoop in their drink in the morning, a scoop in the evening. Okay, collagen peptides. Vitamin D3, 3 of those twice a day so you can absorb the minerals and put them in the right place in the right amounts. It requires that. Well, he lives in Florida. Well, does he get in a bikini and lay out in the sun for 3 hours a day, or does he sit in the shade while he's watching the kids playing in the sun? Okay, usually adults, or especially older adults, they sit in the shade. They don't get out in the sun. So you have to take the vitamin D3 to do that. Okay, and it's one of those things where if you take all your nutrition, and of course, the book Rare Earths Been Cured, you can do a hair analysis. Rare Earths Been Cures tells you how to collect the hair, how to package it, where to ship it. Don't forget to put the check in there because the lab won't run the test without the check. And it has 2 charts you'll get back in about 2 weeks. Chart number 1 goes for all the nutritional minerals. Are they in all the right places? Okay, or are they all below the bottom line? If they're all below the bottom line, you're eating gluten and you cannot absorb the minerals. And then you get a second chart that's going to tell you how much of the toxic metals like lead and mercury and uranium and other things like that you have in your body. And so and we'll help you get rid of the toxic metals. We'll help you fix your absorption problems. We'll help you take all the right nutrients to deal with the health issues you have. That's what we do. Okay. And so, you know, just drinking or eating cheese is not going to guarantee you enough calcium. And you're talking about one of 60 minerals. What about the other 59? You can't just eat cheese and dairy and expect it to work, because what's in that milk and cheese is going to reflect what that farmer was feeding that cow. And they don't put anything on the back label of the bottle of milk. They don't give you all the list of minerals that are in there. So there's no reason for them to feel responsible because they say, well, we didn't tell you anything about what's in there. You chose to use that as a sole source of calcium supplementation. Bruce Lee, how that worked for him. Died at 32. Okay, I think we've answered that question.
Thank you.
We got time for one more, maybe?
Thank you, Dr. Wallach. You're giving us 5 over here tonight. So we appreciate it. Anybody have any last questions for the doc?
Okay, well, we have lots of work to do. Don't forget those CDs. It's, what can I say? You want to get Dial MD for murder because it gives all the crazy things how doctors kill people in the hospitals and clinics, but they get away with it because you signed a release form for them, holding them not responsible if they kill you. And so there's doctors walking around the hospital who kill 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 people a year in that hospital by themselves, and they get away with it.
Dr.
That
Wallach.
brought silence to the crowd.
Okay, doctor, how do you mix in with the what you suggested for the kidney stones? How do you fit in the good herbs for the urinary bladder and the kidney into that program?
Well, you just follow the dosage on the bottle. Okay, but that's not going to give you any calcium. That's just going to help you regulate your calcium. Okay, you still have to take all the calcium. Okay.
It's just going to help me regulate my calcium. Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, regulate it as opposed to bringing you more calcium.
Got it. Thank
Okay.
you.
It's like vitamin D3. Is there any calcium in vitamin D3? No, but it helps you absorb it.
Right. Got it.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I would suggest with that, I've heard a lot of testimonials saying that they take extra plant-derived minerals. They take extra to help support that lower portion, and they even tilt their foot of the bed with a little, absolutely, with a
75 of our colloidal minerals in here. Okay. There's 75 colloidal minerals in here. There's 75 colloidal minerals in here. Okay. And then, of course, we have bottles with nothing but colloidal minerals in them. But you don't want to get some, I'm drinking my colloidal minerals. Yeah, but what about all the other nutrients you require? All the vitamins and the essential fatty acids, all that. You got to take it all because you can't get it from the food. Look up U.S. Senate document 264, 1936. But I apologize, but I do have to rush. God bless everybody.
Thank you very much. God bless you too.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wallach. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
You heard it here, people. There's a new bull in town. Thank you for joining us. Have a good night and better tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.